feel it out inside, you're fine. You think your problems overblown. 'Cause I want you to know that I'm here. If you thought you could hear me cry.
Being one of the only legendary rated contest entries, I was very excited to check this out when I was playing through every entry. As per usual from Vegtam, the level did not disappoint. Obviously, on the surface, Copycat is very good. The gameplay is pretty fun, and visually it remains stunning and flashy throughout. That being said, the theme is what really took it further in my eyes. The idea around the level is an evil generative AI that steals from other levels to create new ones, and the player has to try and stop it. Despite it being a sampling entry, the level still feels very unique, which usually would be a detriment when a big part of the contest was for levels to feel like sampling levels. But Vegtam took this core idea and applied it deeper than surface level visuals. The sampling idea applying to the theme is a cool touch, and even still, the sampling itself is done in a good way where everything is recognizable when used. The theme builds around the assets, and it makes them feel perfectly fit to a level that really couldn't exist without the sampling. The end screen showing the files of every sampled asset as well is extremely creative, and looking through them was super fun. Amazing work to Vegtam. Sampling level from them would be absolutely packed with samples. Broadcast uses a telecommunications theme, with a lot of the samples helping to build this idea and aesthetic. Visually, it's one of the most uniquely presenting levels, with bright pastel colors and tons of art and details around every corner. At any given moment, you could pause and spot 10 different sampled assets, but at no point does it ever begin to feel cluttered. It's almost mesmerizing in a way to watch, because there is so much to see and recognize across its 2-minute length. That being said, aesthetically the level rocks, and despite the asset variety, they all work together to fit the theme in some way, whether it be directly by sampling technological art, or aesthetically by sampling bits and pieces of more abstract designs that fit the overall composition. And as a big plus, the gameplay is really satisfying. It felt natural that an Ivy Teal entry should work so well, and a massive congrats goes to them for placing in the top 3. Labels by Winte is one of the most consistent and clean levels in the entire contest. Clean and consistent usually isn't something you'd expect from a sampling level, but in this instance, I mean it for its execution. With 25 different levels sampled, it's definitely on the heavier side sample-wise, but every single asset feels perfect for the theme while being clearly noticeable by the player. Playing through the level feels like accessing the internet for the first time as a kid, with so many diverse, quirky art assets alongside extremely clean designs. There's a good bit of digital feeling UI and foreground work to represent the song, such as an asset of data traveling into an open computer folder. But in addition to this, the level is sprinkled with a pretty large amount of floral and plant details as well. The juxtaposition feels akin to some popular aesthetics in the early internet age, but not at all in visuals, just more so in foundational ideas. The concept of a futuristic technological blend with nature has been an appealing aesthetic to people for a long time, and seeing it represented in this way is beyond cool. It's hard to pinpoint a theme to this level, but I think what I've described gets pretty close to explaining its vibe. Being able to fuse a sample pool like this with multiple very different styles at play, and make it feel cohesive for its idea is extremely impressive. I think it's fair to say labels wouldn't have been as striking if every sampled asset felt like it was built by the same person, and that's why it feels so complete as a sampling-based level. The colors are consistently really pretty throughout, and the repetition-based gameplay is immensely satisfying to pull off while playing, giving it the highest gameplay score out of any other entry. Winte did a fantastic job creating a very well-rounded and thought-out project, earning them a well-deserved top 3 spot. Huge congratulations.
We hope to see you again soon.
One of the most significant elements that separated the best levels from the rest was their ability to make samples seamlessly blend into a new and unique context. While many levels in this contest did a great job using sampled assets to make something cool, very few were able to channel them to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Cyanotype is one of those levels that went above and beyond just flipping assets. You would be forgiven for missing most of the samples in this level, because even though there are a plethora of samples in each part taken from popular levels, they're used so well that they don't feel out of place at all within the level. That said, if you're familiar with these levels, it's hard to miss them. The color palette does a lot of heavy lifting in the cohesion of the design. If you're unaware, cyanotype is a term that refers to an old printing process that produces a very distinct blue and white print. This was clearly the general direction for the level, and converting all the sampled assets into blue and white variations works wonders in bringing them all together. Though despite all this praise of the level's visual appeal and savvy use of samples, that isn't enough to win a contest. Fortunately for Zozio, the gameplay in this level is incredibly well made. Every part feels interesting and unique to play, all while being properly balanced in difficulty from start to finish. And the way the gameplay works with the song is just icing on the cake. Everything comes together for a phenomenally together level, very deserving of its place in this contest.
And those were the results. Putting together a top 10 we could all agree on was not an easy task, as there were so many amazing entries it was hard to sort them all out, especially when the core idea was as diverse as sampling. That being said, there were also some amazing entries that couldn't have placed in the top 10 simply for being too difficult, such as Failed Extract 40 by Quackcalio ZZZ, as well as Deep Echo by Dangerous Robot. The difficulty limit was Easy Demon, and while these levels are absolutely phenomenal, they both exceeded the limit by quite a lot. Still very deserving of an honorable mention though. With that, I want to say a massive thank you to my judges for helping me organize, moderate, and of course judge such an enormous contest. I still can't believe just how many participants there were, and the number of amazing entries is so cool to see. Thank you as well to everybody for participating and making the contest the best I've ever hosted hands down. With that being said, congrats again to the winners, and thank you so much for watching.